Mark May here. Welcome to the Mayhem Show with Mark May, episode number 17, with Marat Mychaels, the one and only himself. I am so excited for this show, guys. This is one of the ones that I've wanted to have for a long, long time. Ever since we started the show, I think this is the one I think I saw in my mind that we had to have. Not sure if Lewis is going to be on tonight. I might have accidentally forgot to tell him about the show this evening, ladies and gentlemen. So if we don't see him, I always want to do this one time on the show just to say hello, Lewis. What's up, buddy? Just want to let you know we love you. We know you're out there. We know you're listening. If we get to see you this show, that's going to be awesome. And if not, guys, we just saw his G.I. Joe. And there's mine right there in the front. So, guys, huge show tonight. We are talking to one of my mentors, one of my great friends in this industry, one of the people that I've probably learned more about this business than anybody from. I am extremely excited to bring on Marat Mychaels here in just a little bit. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to play the Hellbringers, The Ties That Bind Us video for the Kickstarter, and then we are going to bring him on, ladies and gentlemen. Here comes the video. I want to just say it one more time. This guy is the man. If you haven't checked his books out yet, please check him out. Do You Poo? He is the man from Counterpoint Comics. He does Naughty and Nice as well, which I have had the pleasure of working on. One of my favorite titles to work on, if not my favorite title ever to work on. So without further ado, here's the video for the June 28th Kickstarter. Check this out.
She seeks her husband, the devil. With a natural travel to the ancient capital, the citadel of fate. They sneak
right, ladies and gentlemen, that's the new intro vid that we have for the Ties That Bind Us. I'm pretty excited about that one. Ron Charles Williams was on Pencils and Inks. That dude is the man. If you get a chance to check out his work, please do. We'll be hitting you with a ton of updates from that coming up. Guys, without further ado tonight, I want to go ahead and bring on my friend, like I said, my mentor and my good buddy to talk about his next project. Marat Mychaels, what's up, dude?
What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Dude, it's amazing to have you on the show. Number one, I just want you to know what an honor it is to have you on here. Ever since I started the show, the number one guy I wanted was you. So I just want you to know
Thanks,
that
man.
it's really cool to have you.
I didn't make you wait to be difficult. We just had a few hoops we
Oh
had
no,
to go through with our
yeah,
Kickstarter we got going on now. So I had to wait till that was off and running before I committed.
dude, thanks for suffering through the long ass intro for the show. And it's the longest intro in live entertainment, ladies and gentlemen.
I love that silent mayhem is so freaking loud.
Thanks for liking it, man. It means a lot. Anytime you say you like anything I'm like, yes, yeah.
You need
Means a lot, dude.
No, my pleasure, brother.
So the way we usually run these interviews is I asked a bunch of questions about your career, what we've done, if I know you, and then also we always start with one, and I want to do that before we hop into the Kickstarter stuff for your next project.
Yeah.
What's your favorite place to eat, and what city? Like when you're on the road, like what's the best thing, like best restaurant or best food that you go to?
In San Diego, there's a place called Hodad's, which has the best damn
burger. Isn't this the one you told me about?
It is. I have taken dozens of people there at this point, and I never do this because everybody's taste buds are different, so you can't tell somebody this is the best this or this is the best that. But this is the one place where I've taken dozens of people and I've told them this is going to be the best burger you'll ever have, and they all go, yeah, we'll see. And they all walk out going, it was the best burger I've ever had. Like, I don't know what they do with those burgers, but they're freaking fantastic. I live in Arizona. There are literally days where I think about getting up in the morning and driving down 6 hours to San Diego just to get that burger.
Dude, so, I don't blame you if you do it, and why not, right? There are some days maybe where you just need a little break, so why not, man?
Yeah, I can't be that much of an inner fatty.
12-hour burgers, man. 12-hour burgers.
Exactly.
Like some of these people in Colorado that wait for In-N-Out, the In-N-Outs that just opened, like they'll wait 6 hours for this burger.
I grew up in California, and there's an In-N-Out down the street from my house. I probably have In-N-Out once every 6 months. I think In-N-Out's overrated, but that's just me.
I think it is too. Have you ever had Freddy's?
What is it? Freddy's?
You ever had Freddy's?
Is that the place in Vegas?
Freddy's steak burgers.
No. We actually have some around here, but I've never had one.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, you need to go try them. So they have a California cheeseburger that is awesome. So you should check that out. I think that's the best one.
I wish I knew that. Wish I knew that during the pandemic when I was allowing myself to eat whatever the hell I want.
Oh well, dude, if you get a cheat day
and diet,
dude, if you get a cheat day,
exactly.
Cheat day, head over there, dude. Exactly. Chili cheese fries, California style cheeseburger, triple. Tell them to grill the onions.
All right.
Big time.
All right. I'm down.
You don't want the raw onions. Trust me, you'll be so sad, dude.
I'll give you my my report after I have it.
So let me ask you then. So do you have like a favorite city to go to just for like say looks, aesthetics, just the way it looks, like being there, stuff like that?
I love New Orleans. New Orleans is always fun. Really cool city. Back to food. I love Cajun food, but just think New Orleans just has so much flavor and style that's so its own. That's a city I really enjoy. I love Dallas and Austin. Those are two cool cities. Really, Austin. I love Austin. Dallas is cool. Like going to those cities. Vegas is always fun. I've been there.
I have a great time in Vegas.
Yeah, and then places that we've done conventions together. Obviously, Hawaii is a
Yeah.
blast.
Oh my God. Oh
Yeah,
my God. That was incredible.
I haven't really traveled abroad a lot. Like I haven't been outside of the United States, so it's definitely something that's on my to-do list, and I'll probably start doing that next year. Maybe do some international shows or just go on a very long vacation. So, but yeah, I'd say, yeah,
New Orleans.
Austin, Dallas, definitely New Orleans, Vegas, Hawaii.
So a little something people don't know about me. My dad was a shrimp boat captain in New Orleans for like 5 years.
Like Forrest Gump.
Like Forrest Gump. I am from Alabama, man. Hey.
That's true. That's true.
Hey, look.
Yeah.
So here's one thing I wanted to ask you.
Hmm?
Were you born in the U.S.?
No, I was born in I called it Russia because that's what we called it when I was young. But it was Kiev in the USSR, so it was in the Ukraine technically. I was born there, and we came here.
Kiev?
Huh?
Kiev?
Kiev. Yep, Kiev, Russia. It's where Chernobyl was.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 20 miles outside the city, something like that. We came here in the late 70s when I was a little kid, a wee lad.
How old were you?
I was 6.5, going on 7.
Oh wow.
Because
That's a big move for a 6-year-old, right?
Well, I mean, it is what it is with your parents. It's,
Mm-hmm.
We actually didn't come directly here. We had to, because we were refugees, we went to Austria first, stayed there for a week. Then we were moved to Italy and stayed in Italy for 6 months. And I'm sorry, for 3 months. And then we came to the States. So we spent a lot of time on the road. And Italy was actually the first time I discovered superheroes and giant robots and all that stuff. The first time I saw Spider-Man and Batman and, Battle of the Planets and all that stuff. It was actually dubbed in Italian. But it didn't matter to me. I couldn't speak Italian or English at that point. So, I was just like, my little mind was just blown. I was like, what is this? Because in Russia, they didn't have anything like that. Obviously, communism and everything,
Right.
You don't have anything near that. Like, compared to what was out there in the world, I was very sheltered from that stuff. So when I saw it, my little mind just exploded.
Wow, man. That's an incredible part of your story right there. I don't think a lot of people know that about you.
Oh yeah, when we came here, it was me, my mom, my dad. We had one suitcase that had all 3 of our clothes and $500 to our name. So we were about as poor gets.
Wow.
For about 2.5 years, I had one pair of pants that fit. I had another pair of pants, but I had outgrown it, both height-wise and waist-wise. So,
jeez,
excuse me.
No, you're all good. So let me ask you then, when did you first start drawing, I guess? And when did you get into like comics for your art and stuff?
I started drawing. I mean, I've always been, my mom says, a creative kid. I always had, the construction sets and stuff like that. And I always had a pencil. I was very introverted, very quiet, but very creative. I always drew, whatever, I liked at the time, tigers and, lions and, so I was always, my dad was even though he worked construction, he was a fantastic, like, artist. And he was like super talented. The guy could sing, he could play the guitar, he could wood carve, he could freaking oil paint. I mean, he was just definitely a Renaissance man, but he worked construction his whole life, or at least his whole life here in the States. So I always drew. Comics I discovered in 1982. And it was it was like just once it clicked, it clicked. Like I've seen comics before, but once like the bug got me, which it got me pretty fast, it was like off to the races. It was insane. Like I couldn't get enough.
So, Marat, let me ask you a question about that. What was your favorite comic book growing up then? Like,
Oh well, the book that really just kind of started it all was X-Men 173. I was in believe I was in fifth grade. It was 1982, and I played Dungeons and Dragons like geeky kids did back then. And my dungeon master sold me a copy of a comic book called Crystar or Craystar. I still don't know exactly how you pronounce it. And it was a number 2, and he sold it to me for more than it was worth because he told me like I get these ahead of time because the date on the comic books were 3 months ahead. And so I was like, oh man, I'll overpay for this number 2, but now I got to go find number 1. So I went to a local newsstand, which was weird because there was a comic book store that I used to walk by all the time. But I went to a local newsstand looking for this Crystar, and there was X-Men 173 with Wolverine running, right at you on the cover, and Rogue behind him. And it was like the magic moment. Like that book started glowing, and everything else went dark, and it was like and I grabbed it, and I bought it, and I took it home. And I probably read it or looked through it, I don't know, a couple of dozen times that night. And then I started going to that local comic store, which was Golden Apple Comics in California, which is super famous in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. And I was in there pretty much on a daily basis until the assistant manager, a guy named Scott, said, hey, kid, come over here. And I said, oh, shit, what do I do? And he said, you're in here for like 3-4 hours a day. You want a job? And I was like, what? And he's like, well, we can't pay you because you're, 12, 11, whatever I was at the 10. So 82. So I was, probably right around 10 years old. So we can't pay you, but we can give you store credit. And again, for a kid who, isn't I think my allowance was $1 a week, and I had to make that work for everything I was doing. That wasn't like for comics. That was like, here you go, kid, enjoy it.
right.
Store credit was like the greatest thing anybody could offer me. So I started, doing bags and boards, hours, board in the bag, board in the bag, board in the bag, board in the bag, and I'd get store credit and I'd get books, and that was it was also an awesome store to work at because it was in Hollywood, so you always got like famous people coming in, like guys like Dave Stevens, Bill Stout, who's super famous. Bernie Wrightson would come into the store. Nick Cage would shop at the store before he became a huge star, and then they'd have like these great like big signings. Like I got to hang out and talk to Frank Miller in the early mid 80s, and John Romita Jr. did signings at the store, and Roy Thomas used to come in because at that point they were working in animation in Burbank. So Roy Thomas, Howard Chaykin, all these like amazing creators used to come into the store, and so I got blessed because I was just a sweet chubby kid who kept to himself, and they all knew that I wanted to do this for a living, and they would, offer me advice and have conversations with me, and they were very nice. And, but you couldn't ask for more as a kid, like, holy crap, if this is what you want to do for a living, like talk about being in a perfect place as a, 12, 13, 14-year-old.
Heck yeah.
Yeah,
I
super.
don't think there was a better place you could be. It doesn't matter. You can be 30 years old and still a great place to be as a comic shop.
Right? What I wouldn't give just to hang out with, Frank Miller for 40 minutes, or It's funny. I've gotten to hang out with some of those guys. Like did a convention with Howard Chaykin about
He's a trip.
2 years ago. But
He's a trip.
yeah, he is a trip. He's a funny guy. But like Howard was like, I still can't believe you're that fat kid from the comic book store that I used to see all the time. Like, because it's we all have these dreams as we're growing up, but reality is a lot of us don't make it, or we make it, but we don't make it in comics. You do comics for a little bit, and then you move on to animation or storyboard or video games, or some have to go get a real job. So to see somebody from 30 years ago, 35 years ago, that said they wanted to do comics and they've done it, and then you're sitting next to them at a convention and now they're a guest. It's pretty rare. So it's pretty awesome to kind of be able to do that, and kind of reconnect with some of those guys, and they don't recognize me at first, and then we'll start talking. They're like, oh my God, that was you. You're that kid. And it's like, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Howard Chaykin was hilarious, man. He one time we were in the parking lot in Colorado Springs, and I was like, oh, hey guys, what y'all up to? He's like, where's the steakhouse? I was like, oh my God, I don't know. And I just ran the opposite direction, man. I was like, no.
Oh, you got the nice Howard. But you know what? If you ever get a chance, ask him to sing some show tunes.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because
I'll definitely do it.
He can belt out some show tunes.
Dude, I bet he tears the house down. I'm gonna pull up your Kickstarter here.
Yeah, buddy.
I want to ask you before I do. What are you at right now, buddy?
I think we just hit our third day and we're at 25,000.
Holy Jesus!
So we are a little over 25.
That's incredible.
Yeah, no, definitely been blessed as far as that goes too, for the last couple of campaigns we've had, and but we've built this as you're doing with Hellbringers. We've built our fan base. We've been around for a while as a company, and we're lucky. I try to take care of people, and people have people have been good back. So
you have 391 backers right now, Marat. You've had a couple since we've been on the show. Back you, and here's what's really cool is, guys, we're just going to talk about it. I mean, I guess we haven't even mentioned it yet, but this is Vampirella and Pray for the Sinner.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you cross promoted with literally the one book I want to do for a cover. Like, Vampirella is my dream, and then I'm done. Like, once I get it, that's the end of my cover days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give the people the stuff I owe, and then I'm done with covers. I'm just gonna do publishing from there. But here's the thing: is you literally, so me, like, I have a Vampirella #1. I love the whole deal with the story. I think it was really cool that Neil did the inside of the book, a little bit of it, and Frank Miller did a cover. And I've been, following the character ever since, and it's been a long time since that book has come out. And here's the thing, buddy, is like, if this was my dream, you've accomplished it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You took your IP and you crossed it with Vampirella, which is got to be one of the coolest things I've ever heard of in my entire life, dude. Like, congratulations.
Thanks, brother. It's pretty cool. So Nick Barucci, who owns Dynamite, who owns Vampirella, or the copyright to Vampirella, I think at this point. Him and I go way back. Been buddies for a long time. I've actually worked for Dynamite in the past. I've done Army of Darkness and a few other things for him. I've done a bunch of covers. Me and Nick were talking one day, and he said, I've been doing these crossover covers, and we've done really well with Dan Fraga did one with his book, and I think Frank Cho did one and stuff. And he's like, why don't we do a crossover cover and we'll, kickstart it and let's do it. I was like, all right, this is awesome. Of course, I have a character that I'm very proud of. And I think Pray for Sinner is a book that really got off to a good start. And then we had a lot of huge plans for it. And then the pandemic hit. And obviously that changed everybody's plans. So we've kind of had it on the back burner a little bit, waiting for everything to open up. And when this opportunity came up, I said, sure. And so I drew this cover, and we had a guy named Michael Obach color it up. You can see it on the Kickstarter.
Great colors.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's fantastic. He colored, I believe he colored my Hellbringers cover for you, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you might have colored Chad Harden's as well.
Yep.
He's fantastic, man. He does great.
He's insane. So I turned the cover in, and then Nick was very happy with it. And then I kind of said, hey, I'm going to throw it out there, and I fully expect you to say no. And so what if we just, instead of just doing a cover, what if we did a crossover? What if we actually did a book? And Nick said, hey, give me, a day or two to think about it. And I was like, well, he's being cordial. He didn't want to say no right away. And he called me back, in a couple of days. He's like, let's do it. And super excited. I said, all right, I'm down. Whatever the parameters are, I'm in. What are the parameters? And, who do you want to work on it? He was like, well, you definitely need to draw some of it. And I was like, okay, I'll find a way to fit it into my schedule. I did the opening chapter in the book. And then I said, well, who's drawing the rest of it? And he was like, well, who do you want to draw the rest of it? And I was like, Sajjad. He's about to take over Pray for the Sinner with issue number 3. I think he's perfect. He's amazing as an artist. He's underrated.
I completely agree.
So,
dude, I love that dude. I think his artwork is unbelievable.
He's phenomenal. And then, I was like, well, who's going to write it? And he was like, you want to write it? And I was like, heck yeah, I want to write it. So I wrote it and I plotted it. I turned it in and got approved. They liked the story. We brought in a buddy of mine who's worked on Deadpool Bad Blood and G.I. Joe and the Snake Eyes, Chad Bowers, to do the script. So got a great team. And I discovered this guy online. Marwan is an amazing colorist. And amazingly enough, when I started talking to him, he was like pretty interested in working with me. And then, I was like, well, one of the projects that I think I want to get you on is this Vampirella Sinner crossover. And then his reaction was very similar with yours, like the Vampirella. And I was like, yeah, it's a crossover we're doing with Dynamite, which was cool. And then he said, are you drawing it? I said, I'm drawing the opening sequence. And a guy named Sajjad Shah is drawing. And he was like, oh my God, Sajjad Shah? And I was like, yeah. He's like, he's my favorite artist. And I was like, what are the odds? I was like, well, then this is the perfect book for you. And he's been just churning in. His work is stupendous. Like, I got that kid on like 6 projects now. I'm like, you're not going anywhere. I'm trying to lock you down as much as I possibly can. So this book kind of came together, and I'm super excited about it, where the Kickstarter obviously is off to a fantastic start. And,
heck yeah, man.
So we're rocking and rolling.
$25,615 with 391 backers right now with 18 days to go, guys.
That's awesome. Thank you guys. Whoever's watching, thank you for your support. If you supported it, and if you didn't pledge, share. Share's like pledging is number one, but if you don't pledge, we're still cool. Share.
Share's number 2, yeah.
Yeah, share's number 2.
Big number 2.
The more people we get the word out to, the more people I think will be interested in being a part of it. And again, I think Pray for the Sinner and Sin is I'm super proud of issue number 1. Issue number 2 is going to be even better. It's Dietrich Smith is still doing issue number 2, but we also have Ryan Kincaid being inked by Dalso Corona as part of the story.
Delso's the man. God, I love El Delso's work. If you guys haven't had a chance to check it out yet, check it out. It's freaking amazing.
In my humble opinion, right now, the best thinker in comics.
In the world.
In
the world opinion, right now.
Nobody's doing better work.
I agree.
So
completely. I do have to bring this up. For what was it? Pray for the Sinner. How did you come up with the idea for the character?
Well, I kind of had a storyline, and it was just kind of this like thing I had kind of floating around, and I couldn't really bring it all together. And then, God, I'm not name dropping, but a couple of years ago, I was Todd McFarlane's offices are right up the street from me, and I've known Todd since I was 18 years old, I think, maybe 19. And I see him once in a while, and I was up in his offices, and I was talking to Todd, and we were talking about things that people always react to visually. We were talking about how kids always love skulls and chains and sexy girls and stuff like that. I love
Spawn and Ghost Rider because of the chains.
Yeah, no, and it's true. People, there's certain things that people gravitate towards, and I came home and I just kind of made this list. I was like, all right, what do people like? And I was like, skulls, chains, sexy girls, hoodies are huge, with a lot of characters. And I just started doodling. And as I was doodling, I was kind of starting to flesh out the story. And as the design of the character was coming together, the storyline was coming together. And then at the end of the day, I was like, the Hollywood thing is, what's your elevator pitch? So if you catch an exec in an elevator, like, what's your, one sentence pitch that gets their attention? And to me, this was, I always tell everybody, it's I Spit on Your Grave meets Star Wars. So, and that was kind of the story that developed. And, I knew I didn't want to draw it because I wanted to write a story without thinking about what plays to my strengths as an artist. So, which I'll always skew things to what I want to draw or things I draw well. But if I'm just writing a story, then I don't have to think like that. I can just try to tell the best story possible. And so I wrote this story and I kind of looked at it. I was like, Dietrich, who was a studio mate all the way back to the Extreme Studios days in the early 90s, and who I think is a phenomenal artist, called him up. I was like, I want to hire you. Like, I pitched him the story. He liked it. And maybe one of the best compliments I ever got. So Dietrich's one of those guys that doesn't really like or get excited about too much. You go like, oh, this was awesome, huh? I was like, yeah, it was good. And for Dietrich, that was top notch.
Right.
He's just very kind of mellow. And we do things the Marvel method. So I'll send him a plot, and he'll send me layouts, and then I'll make sure he hits on certain story notes, and then I script it after it was all done to make sure he has creative freedom as long as all the beats of the story are there.
I was learning about that method yesterday. I was watching it on YouTube about how Stan used to do that. He'd give a plot, and then Jack would draw everything, and he'd just go back over it afterwards.
Well, I want, as an artist, I totally get that side of it. So I want whoever I work with to have creative freedom. Like, there's definitely going to be things that I'm going to be like, look, this has to be in here. But, I don't want to constrain a guy. Even if I break it down into 4 or 5 panels, on a page or whatever, if you go like, hey, I want to do this in 10, and it works, I'll be like, go ahead. If you tell me like, hey, I think I can pull this off in 2, more power to you.
Heck yeah.
But so he turned in all the pages, and then I scripted it, and we got it lettered. And I sent him a PDF, and he called me up, and he was like, dude. And I was like, what? He was like, I just read Pray for Sinner #1. And I was like, okay. He's like, this is really, really good. Like, I was like, well, dude, you worked on it. He's like, yeah, but it just came together so well. Like, like the story's really, really good. And I was like, if I'm Press Dietrich, it's kind of like how you said you do Vampirella and you're ready to retire. I was like, I've impressed Dietrich. I'm not going to hit a higher note.
Dude, let me tell you something. I know exactly what you're talking about. First off, that dude's an Auburn fan. So, I mean, it's hard to talk to him. And so I like that guy a lot. If I ever get a chance to work with him, I'm totally working with him because he was super cool when I met him in Vegas. Yeah, he is. But I know what you mean. Like sometimes I'll message Ron and I'm like, Ron, man, that was the best page I've ever given you. And he's just like, okay. I was like, come on, man. I'm telling you, like, I'll go even further than that. I was like, it's greater. It's the greatest page ever. It's the greatest page I've ever seen in my entire fucking life, Ron. You understand what I'm saying? He's like, all right, cool. It's like,
yeah, no, so yeah, Dietrich's like that too. So yeah, so we did #1, and like I said, #2 is being colored up right now, and Sajjad is actually halfway through #3. He's kind of had to put that on hold to finish up this Vampirella Sinner book. But I'm super excited. Like that's the one. That's going forward. That's the one I see like on big banners at the Counterpoint booth at conventions. That's the Sinner. So.
I'm proud of you, man.
No, thanks, buddy. I'm just, I'm just, it's fun. I'm just doing what I like. Like I've been blessed with fans. The people that like the silly parody stuff we do, that they have the same kind of sense of humor that I have, and they've connected with it. And, obviously Naughty and Nice has that was kind of the
Huge
first.
following.
Yeah, it has a huge following. That was definitely the first hit. That's until that book took off. I never really thought about being a publisher. It was just I published my own books because I didn't have a publisher to publish them for me. So I kind of learned on the fly. How did that
work, Marat? How did that work? How did it just transition all of a sudden from where you were just an artist to a publisher? Like you've seen what has happened to me.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how the hell it happened. You understand what I'm saying? It just happened.
I mean, I know how it happened. It just I never expected it to happen. It was basically So I believe it was 2013 was so 2012, December of 2012. I'm driving I was living in California at the time, and I'm driving on the freeway, and there's some Christmas movie was coming out, and the billboard said, "Have you been naughty or nice?" And I was like, that's a great like name for a couple of bad girls, like Naughty and Nice. And I went home and I Googled it, and the only Naughty and Nice that there was I believe it was what's his name? The guy that created Harley Quinn, not Tim Sale. Oh my gosh, his name Bruce Timm.
Yeah, Bruce Timm.
Yeah, Bruce Timm had like a book.
And Paul Dini, right? Was it Bruce Timm and Paul Dini?
Yeah, but Bruce Timm was the artist, and he had an art book. Right. He had an art book that was like, Naughty and Nice, the art of Bruce Timm. And I was like, well, sweet, there's no comics. And if I change the name, it'll if I change the name, we should be good to go. And literally the J Brothers, which you've done tons of their shows, were having
those guys are great.
A show in Phoenix in January, and in middle of December, I decided I'm going to try to have this book for January, and I just sat down and drew it. And Jacob Bear, who's a buddy of mine who I've known for a while, he did finishes on it, and I had a couple of guys, Ebaz being one of them, and Mike DeBalfo being the other. Who were lined up to do covers for another book that I was doing. And I called them up and I was like, hey, can we just kind of, change course? And here's my designs for these, hot chicks. And this is right up your guys' alley anyhow. The other one was a superhero, male superhero book. I was like, much rather get this out of you guys. And my whole goal was to make an extra $1,000 at that show. Like that was my goal. And I knew the Jays would help me sell the books because they were in that whole, besides being promoters, they sold books and they were very, very heavy into the bad girl market. And yeah, man, like the show, came and the book sold out and, made more than, $1,000. I didn't get rich by any means, but it was a nice, at that time I wasn't making a lot at conventions.
Right.
And this was a nice little bump. And I was like excited. I went home and I thought Naughty and Nice was done. And I get a call from Bill J about a month later. And he's like, hey, I'm getting calls from all these guys or, they want to know when issue 2 is coming out. And I was like, issue 2? Like, he's like, yeah, you better like produce an issue 2 pretty fast. And the next big show was WonderCon in LA. And I called up Ebass and, got him to do another cover for me. And luckily, because at that time, Eric was known to take forever with covers. So I don't know how I got lucky. And he actually produced covers quickly for me. I called him up and Nia Rufino, she did a cover. And
she's amazing.
we put out number 2 and it did better than number 1. And, then everybody was like, when are you going to have number 3? And that was the J Brothers had another show in Vegas a few months later. And I did number 3. And number 3 really was like, holy crap, like we got something here. And San Diego of that year was just insane. Like, I mean, it was insane as far as people's desire for that book. And we did our first chase cover, our super limited to 25 full nude edition. And that thing was like, there was guys who were getting them graded on site and flipping them for like $1,000 and stuff.
Wow, Jesus!
Yeah. So it was nuts. And at that time I didn't even have a publishing company. I had a couple of buddies, a guy named John Goff, who's who I've known for a long time, who's worked as a writer with Todd McFarlane and an editor over at TMP, and my buddy Jim Hanna. We kind of had a co-op type thing called Contraband Comics, but it was really John's, and me and Jim were just kind of part of it. But John was definitely it was his name, his logo. He came up with everything. John was in the video game industry, and he was like, hey, I'm getting some flack for doing these girly books. And I was like, well, you're not doing them, I am. But he was like, yeah, but everybody knows I'm Contraband, and I want to focus on the other stuff. And I said, well, dude, this is by far, the book that's running away success-wise and, fan reaction-wise and definitely financially. He just kept giving me his points. And I said, John, I see your point, but here's my counterpoint to that. And and we kind of like, we couldn't see eye to eye, but it was cordial. And
so that's how Counterpoint Comics came to exist, was from that comment right there.
Yeah. And so, I said, John, look, I'm just going to keep publishing it under my own, and John actually, I believe he scripted 1 and 2 and maybe even 3. He's we're cool. I said, I understand you're making a lot of money in video games and this is just a hobby for you, but I know when I have something that people want, and I'm not gonna stop doing it. So yeah, we hung up the phone and I started. I got on the computer and started playing around with logos, and about 2 days later, I had the Counterpoint logo, and there it was, And then after that, I just kind of learned on the, it was all just kind of trial and error and learning. And I got lucky. I had a couple of really big buyers, so I didn't have to try to do. Obviously, Kickstarters were way different back then in 2013, 14, 15. But I didn't have to try to get distribution. I would literally just had like 7 or 8 really big buyers, and I would send them an email solicitation. And I go, all right, here's the new issue. Here are the covers. Here are the prices. Let me know what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's smart. That's smart.
I get my feedback. I get my orders usually within 5 to 6 hours. We go to press, send the books out, and start working on the next issue. And it was a life changer. So it was really good. It was really good.
The only thing that's holding me back right now from making more issues is money. So hopefully these conventions can come back and I can start getting some books out there because I've got so many books ready to go right now, dude. Right now.
Yeah. It's
not just Hellbringer stuff. You know what I mean? Like all sorts of other stuff.
Here's the thing I have to tell myself, because I got like 4,098 ideas, every other day, new ones. And I just always have to kind of remind myself, like, you build that base first and you feed that base. Like, there's a poo audience. They love their poo variants and offshoots that we've done and spinoffs and all that stuff.
Which are all great.
And I make sure, and thank you, buddy. And I make sure that stuff is there for that base. And then there's the Naughty and Nice fan base. And I make sure, so that base is fed and they get what they want, because I want to produce the books they want. Like, as outside of the obviously financial boon that I get off of it, I want to give the people what they want for supporting me for so long and the product. And, and then there's stuff that's kind of I want to develop for myself and it's personal. And that's the stuff that I always go, like, there's always going to be time,
Well, you're kind of the king of 2 genres, which is really rare. So most people can be the king of 1 genre, but you yourself are the king of the parody genre, and you're also the king of the naughty genre.
I don't know what I mean? I'm the king of it, but
I think you are.
I'm in the castle. I'm in the throne room.
No, come on, man. You're getting ready to stab the king if you're not there. I'm just saying.
The bad girl, naughty genre. I mean, you have Lady Death. Oh my gosh. My computer is running off of juice. There's Lady Death, there's Zenoscope, there's, myself, there's Patriotica, there's, Dan Mendoza with his, with his awesome stuff. There's Kincaid with Persuasion. There's a lot of people in that room. Like, I would never say I'm the king. The parody stuff, I'll say it was a dead genre, and the Do You Poo stuff really brought back parody. Like, if people want to give me credit for that or not, that's cool. But
I see it a lot on, like, chat, like, boards and stuff like that, and I'll see people like dissing, Do You Poo sometimes. And here's the thing is, they don't realize Marat is like doing a parody book, and they don't realize what parody books were before. Like, comics were parody books for like 30 years. You understand what I'm saying? And you didn't get a lot of that. And now here you come, nobody else is doing it. And then boom, you're blowing people away with it.
And then I always go, like, like, you can talk smack about the poo stuff, but I'm cashing those checks. So, and again, my thing is, I'm going to try to log in from my iPad because this computer is about to die. So, see if we can make that work. Or maybe
While
not.
you're doing that, I'm going to start showing some of the artwork here for the Pray for the Sinner Vampirella. I'm going to start with a cover that I actually backed. So, boom. This is the EBAS cover, ladies and gentlemen. So, Marat, was I backer number 1?
Because this, I don't want to have the stream die in the middle of it. So as soon as I try to log in from my desktop,
even if you do die, buddy, calm your heart rate down. Even if you do die, we'll just bring you right back on. See? Oh, dude, this is insane. Hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, I have just brought on a new guest, Marat Mychaels, doppelganger, Michaels Marat, ladies and gentlemen. Here he is. It's
Right.
Michaels Marat, everyone.
Can you hear me? Are we good?
You're turned down just a little bit.
How about now?
Little better. A little better.
Okay, I think this is as high as the mic goes, so I'll try to be close.
Okay.
All right.
So I'm gonna bring this cover back out, buddy. This Ebass cover. This is the one I got. I freaking love this cover, dude. Everything about it. I love the way she's holding the skeleton's hands. I like the way the one skeleton's grabbing her ass. It literally looks like, man, it looks like the dead are like desiring her, which is like crazy. Like it's artistically, I think this is one of the best covers he's ever done. I really like what's up there in the moon. I think it's awesome. The lightning strikes are cool too. Big fan of lightning strikes, as you guys know of my covers. What do you think of this, Moran?
Oh, I love it. I mean, obviously, Ebas. When me and Barucci started talking about actually doing this as a comic book one, the first thing I was like, we have to get an Eric cover because he does such a killer Vampirella, and and he does a great center, and he kind of, he stuck the center in there in the moon a little bit, made it a little monstrous, but he definitely focused on the Vampirella part of it. But it's stunning, and obviously Ula Mas, who colored it, is just next
She's
level.
incredible.
She's
incredible.
Yep. So love it.
Russ Cassidy says Ula is one of the best.
Oh, definitely. She's absolutely phenomenal. Her palette, her rendering, yeah, she's spectacular.
Let's talk about this one right here.
So this was funny because I actually did this before. We even talked about doing the crossover cover. I found one day I'm a comic collector, so I was on a website looking at books, and under new arrivals there was this cover for Vampirella number 78, which was kind of a model, as 70s kind of. It wasn't even photoshopped, obviously. It was a model, and then they kind of had her holding the Vampirella sign. And I was like, oh, that'd be a cool thing to homage. And so I had this cover done before we even did started discussing the crossover cover. And once we said we're going to do the crossover, I was like, well, how perfect would it be to have a, homage of a Vampirella cover in this crossover? So that's that cover right there. That's how it all kind of came about. And as says the colorist on this is this young lady, Anastasia Still Smoking. She is really, really fantastic. Kind of has her own style. It's kind of painterly, but she still has a ability to leave whoever the penciler is underneath. They shine through. She doesn't overpower the paint with her paints, but she's really good. She's worked on a couple of things with me. She colors a book called Changeling with Antonio D. So yeah, she did the colors on that and really knocked it out of the park, I think.
So Barbara Lee was the model, right? And this was issue 78 of Vampirella, I believe.
Yep, that was it.
That's it. I told you, man, I'm a fan. I actually got a picture signed by Barbara. So
I always thought Vampirella was like cool looking, and obviously as a kid, especially. And I read the stories off and on, but that wasn't like a primary thing in my collection. Like I was all about X-Men and Teen Titans, and
So as far as books, reading and stuff like that, I would probably say, I mean, I'm still in that Fawcett category. I really liked eerie and creepy when I actually got my hands on them. But that was before my time. For my time, it was 90s McFarlane Spider-Man and Jim Lee X-Men. You know what I mean? That's when I was growing up. That was pretty much what we had to read because that was the mainstream book. But we were also reading, Spawn, And, I mean, there were tons of image books that I would much rather have had. You understand what I'm saying? Than actually have read Marvel books at the time. I felt like they were all the same, I guess. I was a fan of Shadowhawk.
I helped design Shadowhawk.
You did? Are
I
you
did.
serious?
Well, Jim Valentino's a buddy of mine. And funny story, he actually got me my first professional gig. Uh, I was working as Rob Liefeld's assistant. And one day Jim walks into the studio and he was like, "Hey, you want a job?" And I was like, "I have a job." What are you talking about? And he was like, well, Malibu Comics called me up. They have a new book called X Mutants that they're, was it X Mutants? I think that was it. Anyway, they have a new book that their team book. They're trying to do a superhero line. They want me to design those characters. But he's like, I told him I don't have my finger on the pulse like the young guy does. And I told him, like, Rob's assistant is, this young up and coming artist. And he has a good pulse on what people like. And yeah, they called me up and it was my first paying gig. I designed characters for a book.
Man,
So
that's incredible. That sounds like a dream job, actually.
that
Dude,
was it.
so he's basically the guy that did for you what you did for me.
Kind of, yeah. Yep. And then so then when Image started, Jim was actually in the same he was in Extreme Studios for a very short time, when everything kicked off. And he was designing Shadowhawk and he came out one day and it was me and Dan Fraga in the bullpen. Um, and he was like, "Hey, here's my design for this guy. And what do you guys think?" And then me and Dan just kind of were like, "Well, I do this and I do that and I do this." And Jim was like, "Oh, I like all these elements." And, he applied a lot of it to the final design. He had the basic helmet. That was all Jim. But, a lot of the little nuances of the character and little pieces and how the outfit actually, went and stuff. He had his sense was a little more old school, and me and Dan kind of streamlined it a little bit and made it a little more 90s than what was hot at the time. So
Dude, this is like one of the coolest moments on the show I've ever had. Just saying, dude. All right, moving on to the next cover. Marat, that was fucking cool, dude. Okay,
I
let's see.
well, that's the baby. That's the
This
first
is
one.
this is the baby.
Yeah,
You selling this?
I am. But so this is funny. So we did this originally, and I just hated the face. And again, initially we were just going to do the cover, and so I told Nick, like, I want to redraw this face. And so because we were going to sell the original, it's actually the new face is actually pasted on over the old face. It's totally old school. Because I was like, well, if somebody's going to buy the,
Patch.
they're not
Yeah,
going to
you
want
did a
the
patch.
old face. So there's actually a full-on paste job on this thing, which I don't think they've done since like 91, 92, when Photoshop kind of became a thing.
Dude, I like patches on covers. I think it's really cool, and it really does. It makes it look like an old 70s or 80s piece.
So yeah, so this was the first one, like I said, the one that launched it, and you know, again, Chuck just did a phenomenal job.
It's
Uh,
incredible.
yeah, he's so good. He's so good. Uh, so yeah, that's that one right there.
Let's talk about Kincaid's.
So this was cool. So obviously Ryan and I are buddies, and we work on a lot of stuff together. He was one of the once this kind of took off, he was one of the first guys I called to do a cover, and him and I did a convention in 2019, and we went out to dinner with Ali Garza and Scott Williams and Alex Sinclair, and kind of struck up a friendship with those guys, or at least a professional friendship. And Ryan was like, "Hey, I was just talking to Sinclair, and he's not exclusive to DC anymore. I think I'm gonna have him color the cover." And I was like, "It's Alex Sinclair. Hell yeah, let's do it." So there it is. Kincaid did the cover, and the fine folks at Dynamite were like, "That's awfully risque." And it is, but you guys have done Vampirella, Bathing in Blood.
It's true.
naked.
This is to me, this is nothing more risque than I'm seeing.
That's what I said. I was like, this is actually kind of tame compared to some of the other stuff.
Yeah. You know what I
Yeah,
really like about it? It hits on 2 points. It hits on the bondage cover fans, and then it hits on the like kind of the nudie cover fans. So I think it's great. And you're not gonna see too many covers like this, and I like Ryan's style anyways. But the way she's holding the chain in the back really holding her up. I like the looks on their faces.
yeah, no,
It's good stuff.
I love it. I love when it came out in black and white, and then in color. You know, Alex is phenomenal. His color choices, the depth, the rendering, really cool. Okay, so this is super cool. So um, I had a budget. Like my deal with Dynamite was like, here's the budget. Within this budget, you have to get your covers and you have to get your interiors done. And I had kind of spent my budget because Ebas and Kincaid and
Hey, I
Sinclair,
get it.
you
Totally get it.
and then Sajada on interiors and everything. And but Dan Mendoza messages me, and me and Dan are buddies. And Dan messages me, and he's like, "Dude, I have to do a cover for this book. I love Vampirella." And I was like, "All right, well, as long as Dynamite says okay, we'll figure it out. We'll work it out." He's like, "I'll get paid down the line. I just want to be part of it." So I was like, "Hell yeah!" And I love this. His stuff it's completely different style wise, but there's so much personality and so much playfulness, and I love that little bat and just the looks on their faces and just everything about this cover is just so awesome.
Dan was one of the first guys I wanted to have do a cover for me. I actually messaged him. The moment that I can afford that dude to do a cover for me, it's going to happen, dude.
Yeah.
This right here is absolutely insanely incredible. I like what she's doing with her hand. I like the little bat. I like I like the chains. I like everything about it, man. The way the dude draws is incredible. One thing that a lot of people might not notice, but I have, is the background on each side, and the fact that they have like the stars where she is on the right, and then, the graveyard on Vampirella's left on the background. That is just
No,
insanely talented stuff right there, man.
it's very thought out. Like you can tell you put a lot of thought into the cover. So
Talk about the last cover. This one right here might be my favorite one, man.
uh,
I'm not gonna lie to you.
it is killer. Sajad is phenomenal. Like I said, I'm a huge fan. I think he is underrated. I think, and he's underrated because people just haven't discovered his work. He's a guy that's always on the con circuit, and he's done a lot of indie books, but he's never done one that really, um, has a huge fan base. I guess he's been part of some successful stuff, but it hasn't been anywhere near mainstream or the new mainstream, which I think is crowdfunding and a lot of stuff like
Cover with Batman on it.
you
I
know.
own it.
I
You
don't
know
know.
what I mean?
He did that, and it was phenomenal. But
Hmm.
it also kind of came at a time where um, you know there's tons of covers, and on a book that had tons of covers. And it's if a book has like 40 variants or some crazy stuff,
Yeah, some get lost.
yeah, I mean, only the tippy top are going to get. I mean, I've known phenomenal, super popular creators whose covers have been lost in the shuffle just because there's so many, and only so many are going to become hot, and others are just going to be part of the collection. And he's done some great Turtles covers. He's done some phenomenal stuff. But still, I think he really hasn't been put in a position for people to know exactly how great he is. And Ivan Nunes, who is just unbelievable as a colorist. I love Ivan's stuff, and
He
uh,
he is fantastic. I tried adding him because I want to see if he can color some of my stuff sometime because he is amazing. I was going to tell you, Marat. I mean, I got to ask you, what book would you like to see Sajad on? Like as far as like, let's say Marvel or DC, what do you think a good fit for him would be? As far as what he could do? Because I mean, we both know he's up there,
yeah,
man. Like we know it. Some people might not see it yet, but this dude is the cream of the crop, ladies and gentlemen, as far as talent.
Yeah. If it was DC, I'd say Superman. Sajad just draws these classically good-looking,
Mhm.
heroes. Like it's with the square jaw. Like he draws a phenomenal Superman. I mean, it's funny. We're super close friends, and we've been on the road together, shared hotel rooms and stuff like that. Me, Sajad, and Nadal are very close, and we'll sit there and we're doing commissions. And if I ever have a Superman commission, I'll always be like, Sajad, rough this out real quick. Like,
That's smart.
because
That's smart.
he always hits that face. And, there's stuff that he's asked me to do. But if it's Superman, it's always like, Sajad, you know,
Heck yeah, dude. And hey, I got a spawn drawing from him, man. I think he'd kill it at that too.
yeah, he's definitely supremely talented. Marvel, oh man, I guess it just depends on the feel of the book. I think he'd do a phenomenal Thor. I think he'd be great on
Yeah.
Thor. Uh, you know, yeah, I would say like right now, if I was an editor at Marvel, I'd say Thor.
Do you want to know who I'd throw him on? Hulk.
Yeah, John's work is not angry enough for Hulk, in my opinion.
I see what you're saying.
He draws really beautiful, like everything's so like just pretty and
I
so
think
well.
he'd be good at X-Men too.
Yeah, no, X-Men would be good, especially the X-Men they have right now, because all they do is walk around and point to whatever they're doing on that island. Like they don't actually do anything, Like, look at what we have built.
Oh my god.
But I digress. That's just my opinion.
Take a look at the insides.
That is one of my pages. That is page one. Um, Actually, another kind of cool little throwback I was able to do on this book. Jaime Mendoza, who was an inker at Extreme Studios and was also a roommate of mine back then, who's gone on to he's in Detective Comics and Young Justice and tons of Chris Bachalo stuff. Um, Me and Jaime kind of reconnected. We've never stopped being friends, but we just kind of drifted apart, and um, we actually live in the same city. And one day I just kind of called him up, and I was like, "Hey, what are you doing? How you feeling? How's everything going?" And we started talking, and I thought he was exclusive at DC, and he's like, "No, I'm actually between jobs right now." And I was like, "Well, how about you ink 5 pages for me?" And you know, uh, he inked up the 5 pages, and this is Mirza, who I was talking about, who's just this amazing colorist. Really coming in and killing it. And yeah, super. I'm super excited, super proud. Um, Super proud. Um, uh, the
Oh,
way.
what you super proud of, buddy?
Oh, sorry, I'm super proud of the way it's all coming together. Uh, Sorry, Russ, who knows I'm on here, is sending me messages.
Oh yeah. Nice, Russ.
Um, so yeah, super, super. Yeah, this is just cool. Like it's a fun book. It's a fun story. It totally works in the storyline of both characters. We establish a character that other writers can come in and pick up on for Vampirella, or maybe we'll revisit part of our kind of gentleman's agreement with Nick and myself over at Dynamite is if this does well, we'll do another one. We talked about maybe a Sinner Vampy #2, or there's definitely been a Sinner Red Sonia possibility that's been thrown out there. So
Wow.
we'll see. I mean, we're tracking good. We're off to a good start. We'll see how it all ends, and um, you know, so you know,
Let's talk about this one.
that's one of the interior pages. That's Sajad and Mirza. They're working together. This is the big baddie in the book from Sinner side is this guy named Zyzz, Zyzz. and Vampirella with her wings, which got to be honest, I didn't realize Vampirella had wings until I started doing my research and I saw a bunch of images and I was like, when did this happen? Like I've never seen this. So yeah, that's one of the interior pages. Again, just phenomenal work by both guys. I mean, I couldn't be more proud to be involved in this. I mean, great action, great color, vibrant. I love it. I hope the people at Dynamite are very happy every time a new page comes through. So we're hoping the fans like the book as much as we enjoy putting it together.
Well, I love it. I think it looks great. I think the interior's looking fantastic. These covers look amazing. Again, that's the cover I got right there, ladies and gentlemen. It is an awesome looking Kickstarter. You've already got a couple of backers since you've been on here tonight.
Nice.
You're at $393 now with $25,670.
That's
$25,670. That is huge, my friend.
Fantastic. I'm definitely living a blessed life. Like I get to do everything on my terms right now, and it's people are responding well to it, and it's fun. I can't wait.
That's the dream, buddy.
Exactly. I mean, I've had the dream of working at Marvel, and I got to do that, and I've had the dream of working at DC, and I've gotten to do that. Not exactly on the books or the characters I would ultimately love to work on. Well, Deadpool actually was a dream, but
I loved your Deadpool. Your Deadpool was awesome.
Oh, thanks, man. That was a blast. I mean,
I liked your Grifter too. Your Grifter was awesome too.
I appreciate it. Yeah, Grifter was a weird one because had a different editor. Seemed like every half issue, and there was a lot of turmoil and turnaround going on at the time. But it was cool. It was awesome. But that was kind of that time of DC was kind of what made me go, I want to step out on my own and see what I can do. And it's again, I live a blessed life. I'm aware of it. I'm thankful for it every day, and I'm gonna keep doing it until people stop supporting me or my stuff. So
it's the same thing I'm going to do, and then I'm going to go work at Starbucks right after. That's the plan for the rest of my life, ladies and gentlemen. I can't wait.
Hey, I started flipping burgers. Maybe it'll be the full 360.
The full circle. I did the same thing, man. When I was 16, I did the same thing. Hey, you know what I actually invented? I used to put Dr. Pepper on cheeseburgers on the grill, man, and then I would throw them on a cheeseburger. That shit was delicious.
I can see that. All that chewy, syrupy goodness.
Let's go back and reinvent the wheel, man.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to stay in comics as long as they'll have me.
I think you're grandfathered in for life, so I think you're good.
Oh, I'm getting older. I'll be at grandfather age pretty soon here. So
yeah, but you're gonna live forever. So come on.
Yeah,
you work out every day.
I tried. That COVID-30 got me like it got everybody else.
Jesus, that COVID in general was rough, man. Happy to be vaccinated.
Me too.
All right, brother. I'm not going to try to keep you too much longer. It's 20 minutes past 8 o'clock, which is where we usually let you off the hook. I do have a couple more questions. It'd probably keep you till about 10 more minutes. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. When you first got your first start in comics back in the day, how did that happen? Like, as far as how did you meet Rob? When did that happen and stuff?
Dude, complete serendipity. Like, you can, if somebody wrote this, you'd be like, it doesn't sound real. I was 12 years old and Rob was 16, and we were both at a local comic convention in Southern California. It was a show that happened once a month, and I was there all the time. Rob would kind of come in every 2 or 3 months. There was about 5 artists that were there. There was Bruce Patterson, who was a big-time inker at DC Comics. He was there every month. There was a guy named Nick Goodich, who was kind of a local guy. who was there all the time, set up at his table. And then Art Taber was there before he kind of made it big. And me and a few other young guys like 12, 13, trying to be part of the scene. And that's where I met Rob. I met him when I was 12. He was 16. I was a very shy kid, and Rob was very Rob. I mean, if you met Rob or you've seen Rob, money and success did not change him. Rob was Rob from day one. Like, who he is now is who he was then. And so he was a little like intimidating to me. But through the years, we kept in touch, kind of became buddies. When he started working on Hawk and Dove, he was sharing a studio with Jim Valentino. That's how I got to know Jim Valentino. And I was 15 years old. I didn't even have a driver's license. So I used to take a bus for like 2 hours down to Orange County from Los Angeles. And come hang out at the studio and just suck up all the knowledge I could. I had Rob with his kind of, new approach as what comics were at the time, which was like 88, 89. And then you had Valentino, who kind of had all his, there is a 98 signed in the background. Sorry, I'm responding to Russ's message. And yeah, I was just soaking it up. I'd have Rob kind of giving me the new stuff and Jim Valentino giving me all the fundamentals and showing me like, hey, this is Jack Kirby, and hey, Mike Mignola's style is actually, has its roots in Frank Frazetta. And I'd be like, no, it doesn't. And then he'd like take a, piece of tracing paper and he'd show me and I'd go, oh my God, like, holy crap. Like I would have never known this if you hadn't told me. So I was just there as much as I could, just getting as much knowledge as possible. And when I graduated high school, Rob called me up and he was like, hey, I'm looking for an assistant. I know it's about an hour and a half drive every day. And, it's not going to pay a ton, but do you want it? And I jumped at it. And, my mom was like, what are you doing? And I said, well, this is my foot in the door. And she was like, well, what this is paying you you pay for a door. You're going to be homeless if this is what you're going to be making. And I said, Mom, this is like, me getting into, I sold it to her as I'm getting a job in the mailroom at a corporation. And this is what's going to give me the opportunity to work my way up to, being a CEO. And she bought it with the caveat where if you don't make a real living in a year, you either have to go to college or you have to move out of the house. And I reminded her that I do not have the grades to go to college, so that was not an option. So I had to make this comic book thing work, and started being Rob's assistant, and it was great. I got to, talk and just got to visit Marvel. I was with him when he went to shoot the Levi's commercial in New York. Hung out with Lee. We went through Marvel offices, and just got Xeroxes of all this artwork that was sitting in the drawers. I got to know Bob Harris, who was, the editor at the X-Men office, pretty good. Again, just these amazing opportunities that just kind of, I don't pat myself on the back often, but I will say that I have not let a lot of opportunities pass me by. Like if one comes up, I'm usually pretty good at snatching it and running with it.
Right.
And I learned and when Brigade came along, as Rob was doing Youngblood and they were starting Image Comics, and Brigade wasn't even a paying gig. He was just like, hey, you want to do this, and I'll give you part of the, you'll get a royalty or whatever the sales are. But I was like, heck yeah, I'll do it. And nobody knew that book would sell almost 1 million copies. And that royalty check would be a lot bigger than I ever anticipated. But The only thing I wish I had done, I don't have a lot of regrets, but man, I wish those first 2 years I wasn't, freaking jerking off, being a goofy 19 and 20-year-old, and I was not like actually jerking off, but
Oh, no, I know what you mean. Like just jerking away all your money and shit like that, right?
not even spending all my money, but just spending my time goofing off with my friends. Because again, when
Oh
you're not
yeah. Yeah.
really,
Instead of doing the art.
I wish I sat there and did 12 issues in an annual. I wish my passion and my focus was completely on that because two things. A, I would have had a body of work that would be a lot more solid after those couple of years, and B, I would have probably been a millionaire to be honest with you. Um, I just you make that kind of money as a 19-year-old, and all of a sudden you get to do stuff like, hey guys, let's all go out, and your friends are like, oh, I haven't been paid
Yeah.
yet, or I can't afford it, and you go, I got it, like I'm cool, like I want to go hang out and have a blast with my friends,
Yeah.
and if I have to pay for us to have that fun, like that's cool because I'm making more money than the rest of my friends. So
Right.
um, yeah, I wish I definitely had more discipline. If I had the work ethic I have now, holy crap, like who knows where I could have gotten to. But I
At, at least you were in the industry. I didn't even know that I was able to do this shit until like 6 years ago. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Well, and again, and things have changed so much. Like what I've been able to do with Naughty and Nice and Counterpoint, Pooh, all that stuff. I couldn't do that, in the early 2000s. Just the industry was different. The convention circuit was different. I mean, conventions were never a place for most guys to go to make money. Um, most guys went to conventions to promote and to hang out and to hobnob and to, we used to call it the, BarCon in San Diego. You didn't even go to the convention. You went to the, convention at the bar because that's where you go meet people. That's where you make connections. That's where
Right.
you know, um, get cozy with the editors and buy them drinks and stuff and hope that they answer, your phone calls. So it was a completely different thing. I mean, yeah, people went to make money, obviously, retailers and dealers, and certain artists knew if they showed up with their portfolio, they make a lot of money selling their original art. But it wasn't like you didn't have walls of prints and, a lot of indie people. I mean, artist alley in San Diego used to be a bad word. Like that's
Really?
yeah, it was kind of like if you were an artist alley, it meant you were kind of an indie guy who really, you know, didn't couldn't make it on the other side, of the show. Like artist alley was just kind of not the place like that. That was kind of the way it was seen,
Oh.
and like if you said, "Oh, I'm doing artist alley in San Diego," people would be like, "Oh, really fell off, huh?" Like,
What?
yeah,
God, really?
yeah, it was looked at as like an alley. And if
What a
anybody,
what a what a horrible misconception though, because that's where all the money would be like the Super Bowl of all conventions, right?
well, it became that. But back then, you would go to Artist Alley, and if you were a fan of indie books, yes, you would find guys that worked on independent comics, which were completely different back then. Independent comics were black and white and low print runs, or even if they were color and stuff, they still were low print runs. And it wasn't there was no digital printing, so it was just completely a different different thing back then. So it really was like kind of the secondary level of comic book industry was that's where those creators were primarily. Um, Now it's kind of like you see except the superstars who are the Marvel, DC, Image,
Yeah,
whatever. You go through Artist Alley and you see a lot of A-listers. They are sitting in their Artist Alley table. At all shows. It's definitely completely different than it was before. So
well, dude, it's 8:30. I have kept you long enough, my friend. I know for sure we can do another one of these
we'll do it.
because
Do it again when we launch Center 2.
Okay. I have because I definitely have more questions to
All right.
ask you. So,
I will definitely run off at the mouth some more with you. So,
all right, my friend. Thank you so much for being on here tonight. Will you do me one favor before we hop off here? Will
yes,
you
sir.
just tell all those fans out there one more time why you need to back Pray for the Sinner and Vampirella?
All right. Well, you need to back it because it's awesome. It's Vampirella, and it's a great new character. You're going to regret not being a part of the beginning a couple of years down the line. Um, let's see. Sajjad Shah, definitely a reason to back the book. He did spectacular work. You've seen the covers, and back it because you like me and I'm a nice guy. And if this book does well, then we'll be able to do more crossover books. So there you go. How's that?
That was probably the most innocent and genuine pitch I've ever seen in my entire life.
You
If you
know,
can't back it after that, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how the fuck you're gonna back ever one of
and
these.
if you can't back it, share it anyhow. It doesn't hurt you to
That's
share.
true.
Post.
But I wanted to let you know, Marat, since we have been on here, you have now got 395 backers,
Nice.
and you are at $25,715, my friend.
Every backer counts.
Thanks for coming on here. We got you some backers.
Uh,
And you, dude, you informed all the fans out there. Anybody that needs to know about you can come watch this show, and they're going to learn a ton. So I think that's one of the cool things about interviews on the Mayhem show is we like to get out a ton of information from people. And dude, you let it all out tonight. So people got to see a little bit of a different side of you, which was awesome. And they got to hear a little bit about your career and how you started and how you even came to this country.
yeah.
So
Oh,
uh, it's 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 a cool story. It's dude, it's almost like you hit the lottery in life in a lot of ways. You know what I mean?
I did.
So,
I got to live my dreams since I was a kid. So who can, you know, and as I always tell Rob, like I had nothing to do with Deadpool's conception, but I was definitely in the delivery room. So
which is amazing,
yeah,
all in itself. You know what I mean?
I mean, what are the odds that one of your closest friends creates an iconic character like that? So
And it might go down as the greatest character of all time. You know? So I mean, it's big time. We actually almost made it through the entire show without talking about Rob Liefeld or Deadpool,
well,
Marat.
he is just kind of part of my,
It's part of the story,
yeah. So
right?
and he's a buddy. Me and Rob
Dude,
go 30.
so tell me if you can before we get off here, tell me a little bit about y'all's like LA times, you know what I mean? Like tell me about this stuff.
It wasn't crazy. I mean, me and Rob, we neither one of us like a crazy partier, so we never did any of that. I
Not at all. You never partied at all in LA.
no, never.
Really?
Rob's not a party
Really?
at all. I if Rob
What's
had,
the craziest thing you guys ever did, if you don't mind me asking?
uh, okay, so
Don't
this
break the stigmas here, man. Keep the stigmas alive.
no, 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 this was hilarious. So Rob, when he's about to do the Levi's commercial, he has to fly out to New York, and Rob didn't like traveling by himself. And he goes, "Hey, if I pay for the trip, you want to come to New York with me?" I was like, "Sure, sounds like a blast. I've never been. I'm gonna go get to hang out, on the set and all that stuff." I'm 18 years old. I go home and I start packing, and my mom's like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to New York with Rob." And she stops for a second and she goes, "Right, I don't care if you are. I just never thought you were. Are you and Rob gay lovers?" And like, and I said, "No, no, like we're just friends. Rob just doesn't want to go by himself." Because she's like, here's an older, by 4 years. She's like, here's an older guy who's going to fly my 18-year-old son out to New York for the weekend. Like you can see
Right.
how in a vacuum. So I tell Rob this story and we laugh our butts off. And we get to New York and uh, I'm in the shower and all of a sudden a hand with a Polaroid camera reaches over and there's a click And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm like, I grab a towel and I'm like, and I run out and Rob is on the ground just laughing his ass off, like uncontrollably. And he's like, dude, I didn't look. The Polaroid's still in the bathroom. I just threw it down. Like I just out, like, and it did for a minute. I was like, I just couldn't help myself after that story you told me about your mom. Like, I just wanted to mess with you. So that was probably like one of the things that sticks out the most is just completely nuts. And stuff that's probably the one. That's the story.
That's dude, that's an hilarious story, man. He got you big time.
He did.
It sounds like something my buddy Corey would do. That's hilarious, dude.
That's yeah. Outside of that, I mean, we're like brothers. I mean, we've been nose to nose, ready to throw blows, and we never had. We've had shouting matches, and disagreements and all that stuff. But I love the guy. And
best of friends stay together after all that stuff, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Just an argument.
Yep. So
dude, I know you want to get off here. It's been an hour and 30 minutes, and I know you need a protein shake, right?
I need some. I need a salad with some grilled chicken.
That sounds delicious. I'm gonna have some Bojo's pizza, my man.
That sounds a little better, but that'll go to the waste. I'm trying to thin out.
I'm trying to gain it, man. That way, when I show up to conventions this year, people will be like, "Oh my god, he's big. He's so large." And I'll be like, "That's right. Follow the large man to the table, like so I can sell you books."
Larger than life, huh?
That's right, dude. Thanks so much for being on tonight.
My pleasure, buddy. Thank you, man.
Say goodnight to the fans, my friend.
Good night, everybody. Again, thank you for watching and thanks for your support. Whether it's this Kickstarter or you ever bought a book, any of that stuff now. And yes, I do lock my bathroom door now, even at home when I'm by myself.
Dude, I do too, man. Dude, Adina has snuck up on me twice now and scared the shit out of me when I've been in the shower, and that shit is not cool. You know what I mean?
No, I have PTSD. So, all right, man. I'm good.
Good night, brother.
Yeah, later, bro.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was my brother Marat. It has been an amazing show this evening, talking to you and all the fans out there. Check out Marat's Kickstarter right now, Vampirella, and Pray for the Sinner. Guys, man, it has been an amazing show. This is one of the shows that I've wanted to do ever since we started the Mayhem show with Mark May. Miss Lewis Perry tonight. I hope we get to see him again soon. Next show that we have lined up for you, I'm trying to get a couple big guests filled into the slot for next week. So we'll be able to throw that at you here soon. Guys, please check out Vampirella and Pray for the Sinner. Let's go through these covers one more time. Ryan Kincaid's, Dan Mendoza's, Marat's. I love this one. Marat's again. Ebas. And Sajid. Man, I love that work. That is some incredible stuff, guys. Guys, I'm going to show you the video one more time here for Ties That Bind Us, which launches June 28th. Please check it out.
She seeks her husband, the devil. Travel to the ancient capital, citadel of pain. They sleep in
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you guys know what time it is. Without any further ado for this show, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. The Mayhem Show with Mark May. We are on episode 17, guys. How crazy is that? We only started like 3 weeks ago. Crazy stuff. Anyways, you guys rock. You fans are the best. I love the show. I love having you guys on it. I love the guests that come on it. I love this industry. Comic books are where it's at. It is the number one American product that we put out as far as what we do for media and entertainment. We created this stuff. So really cool. You guys have a great night.